The morning air along Seattle's main avenue carried a distinct subtlety, where gentle sunlight filtered through lush green trees, blending with the tranquil yet bustling urban atmosphere. Elysian Couture, a renowned high-end fashion boutique, stood out amidst the street's modern yet elegantly understated architecture, catching the eye of every passerby. The clear glass windows reflected the warm rays of the sun, revealing meticulously displayed garments that looked like living works of art. Amidst this space, Lana Harper entered quietly, like a gentle breeze slipping through the grand glass doors of the downtown Chicago store. She wore no flashy attire, nor carried the aura of wealth, instead dressed simply in a grey hoodie, black jeans and well-worn sneakers. Her sleek black hair was tied back in a low bun, her bare face unadorned, with deep, contemplative eyes that made her appear as a humble figure amid a sparkling world of diamonds and silk. Her footsteps softly echoed on the cold marble floor, each step deliberate and purposeful, as if she were no ordinary customer, but an unexpected presence challenging the unspoken biases within. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the store thickened with tension. The gentle jazz music that usually filled the space seemed to halt, replaced by an oppressive whoosons. The clicks of high heels paused mid-step, and the scent of luxury perfumes abruptly faded under the shimmering crystal lights. Like a static charge flowing through the room, every gaze turned toward Lana, the lone figure in a plain grey hoodie amid a sea of expensive outfits. Emily Carter, the boutique manager with a sharp, commanding presence, stood tall in the center of this elegant space. She was not just a typical manager, but a symbol of the prestige Elysian Couture aimed to cultivate and maintain. Her icy blue eyes and precisely cropped blonde hair seemed deliberately arranged to convey an image of perfect, cold authority. Without raising her voice, a single piercing look from Emily sufficed to make the air heavy and tense. Then her voice broke the silence, not with mockery or harshness, but with a subtle and skillful warning that demanded everyone's attention. "Excuse me, but here we have standards, and that sweatshirt you're wearing." Emily lifted her meticulously manicured hand to point at Lana's grey hoodie. "Clearly doesn't meet them." Lana remained unmoved, refusing to respond with defiance or anger. She stood calmly, her deep eyes seeming to peer into every corner of the space and every person surrounding her. No flourish, no glamour, just the enduring strength of someone who knew who she was and why she was there. She needed no explanations, no permissions, only the quiet resolve that came from within. Each passing moment in that silence chipped away at Emily's patience, her voice rising in pitch and sharpness. "Are you lost, or just putting on a show for Instagram?" Those words cut through the air like a knife, drawing sneers from some customers nearby, while others averted their eyes. The security guards near the entrance appeared uneasy, unsure how to react. Lana slowly reached for the emerald green silk dress hanging on a rack, but before she could touch it, Emily snapped her hand away with a commanding shout. "Don't you dare touch anything else, or I'll call the police immediately!" Whispers began spreading from the corners of the room, questions quietly asked. Is she stealing? Is she homeless? Lana stayed silent, her gaze unwavering and defiant, not weak or frightened, but expectant, demanding that no one look away. Some customers pulled out their phones, their little red lights flickering to signal the start of a live stream. Emily angrily shouted, "No filming allowed in the store!" But a brave young woman with lavender, dyed hair stood up to protest. "You just humiliated someone who was only browsing. The world will see this." At that moment, the boutique's large doors swung open, and 2 security guards entered. Emily sneered and gestured as if directing a scene she was starring in. "She is not welcome here." The guards' footsteps echoed through the room, their radios clicking quietly on their hips. Tommy Reynolds, the older guard, gave Lana a scrutinizing look, while the younger one appeared hesitant. Emily firmly declared, "She's causing trouble and must leave." Lana glanced briefly at the older guard, speaking softly enough for only him to hear. A phrase that made his brow furrow suspiciously. She said no more, turning her sharp gaze back to the others, maintaining her calm like a deep stream flowing beneath a quiet surface. Lana stood silently, amid the skeptical gazes and whispers, her eyes sweeping across the room, not to select any luxury item, but to observe the faces, gestures, and attitudes of everyone present. That tense silence did not shake her. On the contrary, it created an undeniable, steady presence. Inside, Emily Carter maintained her cold smile, her eyes quickly scanning the staff as if sending a clear message. This is her domain, and no one can disrupt the order. Beside her, Assistant Brian Hughes, with his ever-proud smile, watched Lana with a scrutinizing gaze, as if inspecting a worthless product. As Lana slowly pulled a glossy black credit card from the pocket of her hoodie and held it between 2 fingers, the entire room fell silent for a moment. The card bore no name, no logo. Its mystery and hidden power stunned Brian, his surprise briefly flashing before quickly being masked by a sneer of mockery. "Those fake cards are all over the internet nowadays," Emily's cold laugh echoed, a blatant dismissal. But Lana did not respond. She gently slid the card back into her pocket, guarding the secrets she carried. Brian quickly shifted from humor to sternness. "If you're not buying anything, you're just loitering. I can call the police right now." Emily stepped closer, arms crossed, her voice dripping with disdain. "You know you don't belong here. Don't make things worse." This attitude might have intimidated many, but Lana only slightly raised an eyebrow, her gaze softening as if sending a deeper message. It's not wealth or status that defines a person, but how they are treated. The atmosphere thickened as she spoke calmly. "I just want to see what's really going on." That simple statement silenced the room for a long moment. Emily forced out a harsh laugh. Want to see? Want to see how the rich shop? Or how we treat people like you?" But Lana said nothing, turning her back and walking confidently toward the door, ignoring the prejudiced stares behind her. At that moment, the large glass doors of Elysian Couture swung open, and Marcus Johnson, CEO of the parent company of this luxury chain, entered with commanding confidence and supreme leadership aura. Without a large entourage or noisy media, his gaze alone silenced everyone. Marcus surveyed the entire store, from the cowering employees to the duo of Emily and Brian, still trying to maintain their authority. He held a full set of reports, complaints, and videos documenting unfair service attitudes within the store. His voice was calm yet powerful. "I want an explanation for this." The room seemed to tighten. Everyone's breath shortened in shock and fear. Emily tried to defend herself, but every word was crushed by Marcus with undeniable numbers and evidence. Marcus was not only a corporate leader, but also someone who had endured hardships, deeply understanding the value of respect and fairness. He set strict demands for investigation, inspection, and a full cultural overhaul of Elysian couture. That very night, the store was closed, all operations halted to prepare for a comprehensive audit. Meanwhile, Lana stood outside the glass door, her eyes full of strength and determination. She needed no flowery words, no verbal battles. That silent presence alone was enough to begin changing a system that had long upheld injustice. The next day, as the store remained quiet after the upheaval, inside the luxurious walls of Elysian Couture, a team of experts and senior staff gathered to thoroughly review every aspect of the store's operations. Every footage, every complaint report, every line in the records was carefully examined, like a verdict awaiting judgment. Employees who had previously seemed indifferent and apathetic now stood motionless, their eyes filled with anxiety upon hearing that some among them would have to leave their positions. Sophie Lee, the young woman who had once looked at Lana with empathy, was now entrusted with the important role of bridging the change. She quietly observed, noting every detail with sincerity and determination. Outside, Lana returned with a very different appearance, not in her simple hoodie, but dressed elegantly and neatly, her gaze still deep and calm. Without fanfare or show, she walked into the store as if it had always been her rightful place. Every step she took was a declaration of the power and justice she carried within. Lana passed through each section, silently admiring the products, but her eyes were not drawn by material things. Instead, they lingered on the shifting attitudes in service, on every hidden corner of the store, awakening to change. Behind the counter, a black and white photo was displayed prominently. It showed Lana at 27 years old, standing beside the first shipments for the store, her hands carefully tending each product with all her dedication. Beneath the photo was a simple yet meaningful inscription: "Style begins with how you treat people." Customers passing by stopped to look at the photo, and then at Lana, their gazes no longer shallow admiration but genuine respect. This change did not come from flowery words, but from sincere actions and attitudes built from the heart. Lana stood by the central display table, where the emerald green dress that once symbolized luxury had been replaced by a formal photo, a testament to the brand's journey toward transformation. She turned to Marcus Johnson, who stood beside her with a gaze full of trust and determination. "I used to think it was a symbol of success," Lana said softly, "but now I realize it reminds me of the people I did everything for." Marcus nodded, a silent agreement resonating in the space. In another corner of the room, the laughter and chatter of former employees no longer echoed. Instead, there was silence and anxious eyes awaiting the outcome. Employees like Emily Carter and Brian Hughes faced the consequences of their past indifference and prejudice. In contrast, Sophie Lee was now regarded as a symbol of new hope, leading change and fostering a culture of respect and fairness at every step of Elysian Couture's development. Under the shimmering lights of the store, Lana needed no words. She had become the embodiment of change, of steadfastness and a silent but compelling power. Her story, her journey, served as a reminder that everything, from outer luxury to true inner value, originates from how we treat one another. After days of relentless inspection and review, the transformation at Elysian Couture began to take shape. Footage showing employees once deferential to Lana or displaying disdain toward customers deemed unworthy by old standards was played repeatedly on a large screen right inside the store. The undeniable truth stripped bare the real face of a culture steeped in hidden prejudice and discrimination. Those who once felt safe behind their shields of power and choice now faced the harsh light of reality. Emily Carter, once proud and confident, now stood on the sidelines, her eyes filled with turmoil as she absorbed the judgments from the inspectors. The powerful smile she once wore had vanished, replaced by a stunned, vacant expression as she faced demotion and dismissal. Brian Hughes, her assistant, fared no better, overwhelmed by regret and disbelief as everything collapsed in an instant. The meeting room left no room for excuses or subjective judgment. Every action and word was weighed against irrefutable evidence. On the other side, Sophie Lee stepped forward, quietly, but with eyes shining bright with hope. She recounted the moments when Lana's gaze through the glass had given her the strength to stand up, speak the truth, and fight for a better workplace. Sophie was no longer just an ordinary employee, but a symbol of change, embodying new values built on respect and fairness. Lana and Sophie's story spread widely throughout the system and beyond the borders of a luxury fashion brand. It reminded everyone that behind the dazzling lights are human stories of kindness or painful prejudice. True strength doesn't come from titles or expensive clothes, but from steadfastness, courage, and sincerity in the smallest actions. Like a miracle, Elysian Couture began to open a new chapter. The delicate words on the signboard, "All backgrounds are welcome. Be yourself. We'll support the rest," were more than slogans. They were a sincere commitment to a future without discrimination or prejudice. The store's atmosphere softened, grew warmer, no longer an unreachable palace, but a true home for all. Lana didn't need to stand in the spotlight to be noticed. She was the quiet wind, the strong root keeping the mighty tree standing tall. As she walked past the displays, seeing the respectful glances, she knew she was no longer the stranger or the outcast. She was the guide, the symbol of deep, lasting change. Lana didn't choose grandiose words or dramatic statements to close her chapter at Elysian Couture. Instead, she left everyone with a profound silence, a wordless yet powerful feeling of awakening and change. Before stepping out of the store for the last time, she paused slowly before the glass door, locking eyes with Sophie, the young employee who had witnessed everything from beginning to end. Their eyes met for a brief moment, filled with deep understanding, a silent promise of a different future, a future rooted in fairness and kindness. Without anger or resentment, Lana gently spoke one sentence to Sophie, enough to change everything. If you're about to step into a new chapter of life, step as I have today, silent, steadfast, and unyielding. Those words served as a reminder that change doesn't always need loud noise. Sometimes the calm and strength within make the lasting difference. Walking out of the store, Lana didn't look back. She no longer needed to prove anything, because she was the living proof of that change. Outside, The city of Chicago flowed with its usual hustle and bustle, people passing by, unaware of the small revolution that had just unfolded behind that glittering glass. But Lana knew this change had begun and would never turn back. Inside the store, the atmosphere was heavy, but full of hope. Sophie stood watching Lana's retreating figure, her heart filled with determination and responsibility. She understood she was not just a witness, but the one who would carry the flame, uphold fairness and kindness in the environment Lana had painstakingly built. The story of Lana Harper, a simple girl in a grey hoodie, became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the change anyone can start from within themselves. Not through fancy words, but through brave actions and a silence that speaks with undeniable power. In the days that followed, Elysian Couture took on a new appearance, not by changing its luxurious items or extravagant decor, but by rebuilding its spirit from the very roots. Every corner of the store now radiated warmth and friendliness, as if the cold cloak of prejudice and discrimination had been removed, making way for sincerity and respect. The staff were retrained, not only in service skills, but also in treating customers and colleagues with fairness, sensitivity, and deep respect. Sophie Lee, now wearing the vest of a passionate young manager, always remembered Lana's determined gaze when they last met. She continuously strived to inspire and foster a positive work environment where every individual, regardless of background, had the chance to express themselves and grow equally. Old stories and lingering prejudices gradually faded, replaced by genuine connections and heartfelt sharing among staff and customers. Marcus Johnson, CEO of the parent company, closely monitored every step the brand took. He understood that change does not happen overnight, but requires a persistent, enduring journey of constant renewal. He was the one who implemented new policies, set higher standards across the system, ensuring no trace of discrimination or unfair treatment could slip through. For Marcus, Elysian Couture was not only a luxury fashion brand, but also a symbol of progress and social responsibility. Inside the store, the early days of this new chapter passed in peaceful reflection. Gone were the mocking laughs and suspicious glances, replaced by sincere smiles, warm greetings and attentive support. Customers no longer came just to shop, but to experience a space that honored diversity and encouraged authentic self-expression. Elysian Couture became a living testament to a profound truth. True luxury is not only about appearance, but also how people treat one another. And in this journey, Lana Harper was not just the initiator, but the guiding flame, illuminating a new path for an entire community. Lana Harper's return to Elysian Couture was neither loud nor extravagant, nor did it require media fanfare or a large entourage. She entered the store dressed simply, a soft cream sweater, elegant trousers, and her hair neatly tied back. Yet every step she took carried the confidence and certainty of someone who had overcome every challenge, someone who no longer needed to prove anything to the outside world. The atmosphere around her seemed to soften, as if recognizing the presence of a true leader, one who had ignited the flame of change for the entire brand. Emily Carter, once proud of her power and status, now appeared completely changed, no longer arrogant, but with eyes full of sorrow and a late awakening. She approached Lana, speaking softly and sincerely, more honest than any apology. I've read all the feedback, watched the videos repeatedly, and understood the mistakes I made. I don't expect forgiveness, only that you know I resigned, effective since yesterday. Silence enveloped the space as customers quietly passed by, unaware of the gentle yet profound conversation taking place. Lana silently nodded, neither blaming nor raising her voice. "You weren't fired," she said softly. "You took responsibility. That's worth far more." Emily lowered her head, her eyes reddened as if freed from the burden of those months reigning on a false throne. "Back then, when you silently endured the sarcasm and insults, I laughed. But I wasn't laughing at you," Lana replied, her deep gaze expressing the pain of being judged by appearance rather than true character. That brief exchange was not just an ending, but a valuable lesson in humility, responsibility, and growth. Lana stepped closer, as if offering Emily one last chance. "If someone enters your new world with the humility and sincerity I have shown, I believe you will know how to treat them. Don't let the past cloud your eyes." Emily bowed her head again, a faint smile crossing her face. Not a smile of victory, but one of awareness and change. She said no more and quietly left, leaving behind a heavy silence in the hearts of those witnessing. Nearby, Sophie Lee stood at the edge, tears glistening as she watched Lana walk out. She understood that true change is not a moment of showmanship, but silent, steady, and relentless steps forward. Sophie knew she would be the one to carry the torch, to preserve and nurture the flame Lana had ignited. Behind them, the Chicago sky shifted to the warm orange hues of sunset, a gentle breeze rustling fallen leaves, reminding everyone that autumn is not just an ending, but also a beginning for new things. And the story of Lana Harper, the girl once dressed in a simple hoodie, had become an unforgettable symbol of strength, perseverance, and the power to change the world through one's own humanity. The conclusion of Lana Harper's story is not only a reminder of the injustices many still face in modern life, but also a testament to the power of change that comes from steadfastness and courage. We see that regardless of background or outward appearance, a person's true value is measured by their perseverance in defending dignity and making a positive difference in their community. This is not just a story about a brand or a store, but a profound lesson on the importance of fairness, respect, and compassion in every aspect of life. If you find this story inspiring, and it helps you recognize the value in yourself and those around you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss upcoming meaningful videos. And please share your thoughts in one simple word: fairness, to help spread the message of respect and change together. Thank you for joining and listening to this story. See you in the next videos.